It's time for the social show with Viwe Tyolwana.
Social show?
Social show.
A very warm welcome to the social show. Kamalam Viwe. For the next 30 minutes, we're going to be talking all things CSI, CSR, and shared value, of course. As you know, if you have any things or contributions that you'd like to send through to the show, you can find us at brandlive.co.za. That is on Twitter as well as Facebook. You can ask me any question, or you can sort of comment on what it is we'll be speaking about today. Also, if you just need us to cover something of yours, we have an entire visual platform called social-tv.co.za, and you can find out how you can get involved by just sending me an email at press@social-tv.co.za. Now, that is basically me doing my housekeeping, but I'm very excited to be back. It's a Monday. It's raining in Johannesburg. It's a little bit cold, and I know it's a little bit gloomy, but we've got to get on with it. We've got to make sure that people are informed and educated about what is going on in the CSI, CSR, and shared value space. I, for one, am actually very excited. It's going to be a very interesting week with a few things that we'll be attending that you're going to be finding out in our update show, which is every Monday. But before we do that, let's go into the news. You are now listening to the news on the Social Show. Earlier this week, the Life After Coal Impilo Ngaphandle Komalahle campaign submitted strongly worded opposition to Eskom's latest round of applications for more time to comply with pollution standards, the minimum emission standards, and in some cases, permission never to meet certain standards. The coalition consists of the Centre of Environmental Rights, Groundwork and Earth Life Africa, the Highveld Environmental Justice Alliance Network, and the Vaal Environmental Justice Alliance. Eskom had ample opportunity to take the necessary steps to plan and budget for legal compliance, at least from 31st March 2010, when MES were first set. Moreover, as an organ of the state with constitutional obligations, Eskom was legally compelled to limit its pollution well before the MES was published. This was explained by Team Lloyd, who's the attorney for CER. The law requires that these applications can only be sought where air quality in the area meets health-based air quality standards. Despite this, all of the power stations for which applications have been made are located in areas severely degraded air quality, and West Africa's weak standards are not met. In other news, sandpark scientists have confirmed that a female elephant, the same subspecies as all the other elephant populations in South Africa, is roaming the Knysna forest. The latest Knysna elephant survey used camera trap technology, which uncovered the whole sort of elephant range. Lizette Moolman of Sandpark Scientist says because elephants move along defined elephant pathways, they placed their cameras on these paths and covered the elephant range evenly, with spaces between camera traps no larger than the smallest range recorded for elephants. There is now more information about the elephant, such as her age and her behavior. She is about 45 years old and moves in indigenous forests and fynbos areas on sandparks and neighboring, as well as neighboring private land. Her reproductive status is uncertain. The camera traps have also assisted sandparks management to understand who else lives in the forest. So this was said by Paddy Gordon, park manager of the Garden Route National Park. It says camera traps have assisted to inform management not only about elephants but also about other wildlife prevalence and movements, and how these are potentially disturbed by other wildlife prevalence and movements, and how these are potentially disturbed by both legal and illegal activities in the forests. And lastly, in our news, South Africa's education system is to go through a radical overhaul in order to adapt the fourth industrial revolution. This is under the Framework for Skills for Changing World, which will be rolled out over the next 6 years. Educators and learners are being trained to respond to emerging technologies such as robotics, artificial intelligence, several new technology Subjects and specializations will be introduced, including technical mathematics, technical sciences, maritime sciences, aviation studies, mining sciences, and aquaponics. To expand participation in technical streams, President Cyril Ramaphosa said several ordinary public schools will be transformed into technical high schools. The president made this announcement at his second State of the Nation address in Parliament this past Thursday. We're gonna finish off the news, and we'll be back after this.
There is no doubt that quality education can help reduce poverty, foster economic prosperity, improve health and well-being. It can help a person to understand this world better or build a base for the future. It's clear, it's simple, education is important. However, today there are places around the world where 14 students share just one book. Girls simply drop out because there are no toilets in schools. Today, 58 million children are denied the basic right to education. Those children did not even have a choice, but you do.
When I was 5 years old, I was an annoying kid, playing all the time and asking my mom to buy me that toy or that toy. And I always wondered why my dad can do the same. Why he needs to spend his time doing boring things like waking up in the morning very early or coming back late at night. But time have changed. From 2007 to 2012, the number of unemployed people has increased from 170 million to 202 million. And 75 million young people just like me are currently unemployed. So I guess that my father, he had an easier time finding a job. But we can change that.
Every single Monday, we try to update you as to the things that are happening in the week, things that you can attend, things that you can support, things that you can just cause noise about, really, in and around South Africa, in and around the world, if you are listening. I'm going to start off with this Love a School campaign, which is one of the fundraising events by the Adopt a School Foundation, which was created to be a positive force in changing the future of education in Southern Africa. And they're having a little bit of a something at the Parkers Comedy and Jive in Monte Casino on the 13th of February. That's the day before Valentine's Day. And they're going to be doing some fundraising for education. There will be food and drinks that will be sold in the night with loads of prizes up for grabs. So what they do is that they really do look into whole school development. It looks at academics, it looks at infrastructure, it looks at social, it looks at security environments, and it really tries to make sure that they are developed, especially in the adopted schools. So to ensure that the schools are conducive to teaching and learning, and through this holistic approach, the foundation is also able to address most obstacles that stand in the way of providing quality education and so much more. Schools supported by the foundation are some of the least resourced and marginalized schools in the country. But as long as there is passion and a commitment to education, together with the partners, they're able to bridge a lot of the gaps. Now, it's happening, as I said, on the 13th of February 2019. It's happening at Parkers Comedy and Drive in Fourways, and the cost into the venue is 200 Rand. The venue will offer all the perks of visiting Monte Casino, including ample secure parking, mind-boggling variety of entertainment opportunities. I love Parkers. It's really enjoyable space, really hilarious. Also a nice thing to do if you can't really do much for your partner for Valentine's Day. I think this is a great initiative. You guys can be together, laughing, having a good time, but also giving back to the community. I think it's important that we also just try and adopt different ways in which we can celebrate the people that we love in a way that is going to help more people feel loved, right? That's the point of, I think, that's the point of Valentine. It's supposed to show love and give love and fill the world with love. Right. Another thing that I really wanted to just step on is the sauna, which happened last week, Thursday. I've had my few reservations as to what I felt could have been done differently by our president. Of course, he addressed a number of very important points around the government's commitment to work with African businesses to sort of build a better country for all. He also spoke about accelerating inclusive economic growth. We've heard that one before. He spoke about job creation. He spoke about the duty to really improve the lives of all South Africans, especially the poor. And additionally, he did sort of speak about the technical recession that we were all experiencing in 2018, and it was confirmed that he will do his best to restore investor confidence in South Africa. So we're really just trying to see how CSI sort of fits into this sort of entire space. How South African businesses will be looking at their social corporate responsibilities, their corporate social initiatives as a way in which we can really accelerate the improvement of the lives of all South Africans. And I really wonder if you are in that space, and if you are one of the people who are affected by the recession, how you feel that more companies can be of aid when it comes to improving the lives of South Africans everywhere. I think it's quite important that we do that, and I think it's quite important that we do speak about the speech and how it kind of really, I feel, was really business orientated. It was really about, presenting South Africa as a space where more investors could really dabble in. And I think that's important to note, especially now that I just spoke about SA really trying to adapt into this digitization or digital fourth industrial revolution, where more and more schools will be teaching different courses around mining and technical mathematics and all these things that are going to eventually lead us into this digitized life and digitized way of living. So I think there is quite a little bit of a link between what he was speaking about in terms of technology and how important it is, and what's happening in the schools and what's going to be happening in the schools in a few years. I'm super excited to see how children are going to fare in these new ways of learning, in these new ways of allowing them to be included in future businesses and in future spaces where everything's going to be digital. I mean, I remember he spoke a lot also about the global payments industry, which he thinks will be one of the answers to the advancement of technology and of the economy, which is sort of this digitized payment solutions, where I think a lot of people are really trying to get into it. However, there hasn't really been, according to a lot of people, a lot of experts, there isn't really a huge link between the growth of electronic payments or electronic payment methodology as well as economic growth. But we're going to see what he actually means in the next few years. I think a lot of people have said the president, everybody's just waiting for him to start working and to start really making an effort to realize the things that he believes and to realize the things that he thinks are going to change South Africa. And I think it's quite important that we kind of look at the sort of the action. And again, it's election year, and I think it's important that we also look at which party and which group that we support looks at how the Vision 20 goals are going to be achieved, and are going to be achieved using really tangible, doable changes, whether it be in the economy, whether it be in the education system, whether it be in the NGO space, wherever it is that we're starting to see some sort of difference. Which party is doing the most? And I think that's something that is a great way to see where maybe your vote may lie, or where your loyalty may lie. It's definitely a very important part of what I think. A very important part of what I think I'm gonna vote, who I think I'm gonna vote for rather, is who's got a sort of strategy or has some way of speaking to CSI and speaking to shared values and making sure that more people are a part of the economy, but a lot of people are more and also looking at how corporates really from a ground level contribute to systemic changing and the improving of lives in South Africa. So I'm very excited about what's going to happen in the next few months. I mean, it's crunch time, and I'd be very excited to actually find out from the CSI community what they think is going to be the way forward in terms of the election and how it's going to change some of the policies around what they do. Again, as you know, it's Update Monday. Today we are attending, as the social show, we are attending the I think it's called Chipkins Puratos, as Chipkins, as they sort of launch the next generation of South African bakers. So what's happening is that Chipkins Puratos will be having an official opening of its bakery school in South Africa, a non-profit company that aims to uplift learners from underprivileged backgrounds to make a difference in their own communities. Each year, the Bakery School South Africa will be taking about 25 students through a 2-year program that will empower them with an NQF level 2 qualification, and from there the vision is to create a consistent pipeline of highly trained individuals, creating capacity for employment, and I mean, who knows, a fresh and sustainable way of them to make money. I mean, I know a lot of people have their own bakeries. If you just check on Instagram and you check on YouTube, people are already using that as a space to bake and to sell goods, and are making really decent money. So I do think this is one of the ways in which we're really trying to, where I see a lot of companies really just trying to see how they can, chip in to make a difference. It's going to be happening today at Masisebe, the secondary school in Tembisa. We're going to be there. It starts at 3 o'clock. Hopefully the rain will not be in our way. But yeah, we're going to be at Tembisa at 3 o'clock today, and I'll bring you guys the latest as to what happened and what's going to happen straight after that. And hopefully you can either go and see or find out to see how maybe somebody can be part of this really amazing opening of a bakery school in Tembisa. I'm super excited, and I cannot wait, actually. Another news, we've got something really interesting coming from the science and tech environment in an area where South African women have been increasingly prominent in medicine, law, and business. Why are there so few women scientists and engineers? With this being said, only 23% of STEM talent globally is female, according to UNESCO statistics. This lack of a woman in the industry is mirrored in South Africa. While some debate exists around the exact shortfall, there is a near unanimous agreement that we simply do not have enough qualified women scientists and engineers. And to add to this challenge, only a few remain to practice in the field of studying, advancing to the knowledge base, including acting as role models. So, Anglo American is committed to growing and developing STEM skills in South Africa. They not only have a science center at Parktown Girls School, where they really just have invested in making sure that kids are well groomed in life sciences, in physics, and in chemistry. It was opened in late 2016 and has about 1,000 and facilitates over 1,100 pupils, and its effect was almost immediate as 30% more grade 9 girls chose the sciences as matric subjects thereafter. They also have the Anglo-American Science Career Guidance and Information Communication Technology Resource Center in Ematlalele. Now, the center has engaged and entertained and inspired no less than 34,000 young people since its inception in 2010. The 19 million rand facility, launched in partnership with the Mpumalanga Department of Education, the National Department of Basic Education, and Eskom, MTN, and Vodacom Foundation, provides young people with vital information on subject and job requirements in the world of work. They also have the Kumba Iron Ore 18.8 million investment at the University of Pretoria, is sort of their Africa first virtual reality facilities, and it kind of has changed the face of mining engineering education. The University of Pretoria has changed how mining engineering students are taught. Kumba worked with the university to enhance the students' learning experience by creating the first virtual reality center for the mine design on the African continent. The center was inaugurated in 2015. So Anglo American has done its very best to really try and be more inclusive of females within science and technology. But my question for today is, how many of you do feel as though more can be done in this space? Do you think females in general are intimidated by maths and science because of the kind of male dominance that it already has, and the kind of male success you see, and such few female success? I mean, if you do see somebody in technology or engineering or anything of the sorts and they're female, they're almost like 1 in a million. I went to the Digital Academy launch in partnership with APSA just a week ago, and there was only 1 female there. 1 female, and what they do is they teach coding, and they teach young people how to build sites, how to build different technologies that the bank uses, and then eventually they get into working for APSA, which I think is phenomenal, because all you need is your matric. You don't need anything else to get in, and by the end of that 6 months, you know how to build an entire you know how to build a website and so much more, and different coding materials. And I thought it was quite an interesting concept, but there was only 1 woman there. 1. And I spoke to her, and I was quite intrigued at the fact that she actually wanted to do design, and she wanted to do interior design, but really wanted to do it on a digital platform, and that's why she sort of joined in. And I just want to start the conversation as to what is the issue. What is the issue with females getting into the engineering space and the science space? If we are the highest sex that does get their degrees, that does finish a university, that does complete their work at a university level, why aren't we doing so much more in science? What is the problem? So Anglo American is proving that they are really doing their best to try and make sure that more women are involved in that. And this is one of the most recent findings, is that they are really trying their best to make sure that women are included in all of the work that needs to be done to really show off that women can lead in science and tech spaces. Okay, so another really amazing update for you, just happening this Sunday in Venda, is AfriBiz Invest is obviously a construction infrastructure company owned by Colin and Cecil Mashwana. Under the Colin Mashwana Foundation, AfriBiz Invest has decided to help the old, the disabled, and child-headed households who live in poor conditions by building houses for them. They've given away 15 houses so far. This was just last year, with the focus on Gauteng and surrounding areas. But this year they're challenging themselves in building 30 more houses. The first house they're giving away is in Venda, in Thohoyandou, in Mbilwi village, and it will be the first house giveaway for 2019. And apparently the President of the Republic, the Honorable Cyril Ramaphosa, will be unveiling the house. This will be happening on the 17th of February 2019 at 10 a.m. We unfortunately can't be there because obviously we're in Johannesburg and we are based in Johannesburg. However, I think it's an amazing initiative. Again, I want to shout out AfriBiz Invest and the Colin Mashwana Foundation for all their efforts to really trying to change the lives of old, disabled, and child-headed households. I mean, there is nothing better than knowing you have a home to go home to. You have a building that works, that doesn't fly away or burn when there's chaos. You know, there's so many issues around South African housing, especially with people who don't have much. And I think every single bit of help is very important and is very much welcomed. So AfriBiz Invest will be erecting their very first house in Venda, Thohoyandou, this Sunday on the 17th of February, and we will be speaking to them in the next week to just find out how it went, to find out how the president what were his words on the day. We're going to find out how the energy was and speak a little bit more about the beneficiary and how they chose them, because I do think when you hear about things like this, you really want to be first in line. And it does feel as though when it comes to these kinds of huge projects, very few people know about them, and very few people are able to really access the information that they need to apply for them. And also they're sort of set up a year at least in advance, because it's you're building a house. So it'd be quite interesting to find out what their candidate situation is. How do they get people involved? How do they choose? And also just give out that information to people listening, or people that you know that are listening that really do need housing. This would be one of those projects that I would really love for you to have more information about. Anyway, that concludes our show today. We are in the second week of February, and I'm super excited about the year. It started off amazing. A lot of new work is coming out. A lot of new initiatives are coming out. The CSI space is really, really starting to change and adapt to the kind of climate that we find ourselves in. We are reaching global standards, and it's really exciting to see. And we'll be back again tomorrow, same time, same place, only on The Social Show. Do not leave. Do not go anywhere. I'll talk to you again tomorrow morning.
Harnessing the power of talk radio. Brandlive.co.za